Hey there, Internet. My name's Luxander, and we're talking about facial hair and how to make it more. Years ago, I heard of this stuff called Minoxidil that was supposed to make your facial hair come in better. I saw someone use it. I followed this person, Alex Bertie, who used it on his face when he was first starting testosterone. So the fact that he has a full beard, to me, seemed like it could have just been from testosterone, and he just happened to be using this facial stuff at the same time. So I thought maybe that doesn't really do anything, and I never ended up looking further into it because of that belief. However, my doctor, who prescribes me hormones, mentioned minoxidil at one of our visits at the end of last year as something that could potentially be used in the future to encourage facial hair growth for me. Obviously, that was like a kind of unexpected because I assumed that this was just, hearsay. It doesn't actually do anything, whatever. But my doctor recommended it as a thing that we could potentially do later on. And I very recently had a visit with him to just check on my hormone levels, have your labs done, all that kind of stuff. And I brought it up just asking, is this something I need a prescription for, or could I pick it up on Amazon? And he just went ahead and gave me a prescription for it. You don't need to have a prescription in order to buy the particular product that I'm using, but in order to use like a good RX coupon, for example, you would have to have a prescription. All right, so what is this shit? So this is the box that it came in. It's minoxidil topical solution. This is the 5% strength. There is a 2% strength for women, but my doctor said that I would not need that. It would not be useful to me. So this is what I was given. It's actually meant for balding. It is not for this kind of balding, but if you have a patch back here, this is actually a hair regrowth treatment for while you're balding. I think that makes this an off-label use for me, and I'm not sure if, for example, I had a very bad skin reaction, I don't know if that would be something that the company that makes this would be like, oh, fuck, well, sorry. Like, you used it in the wrong place, you know what I mean? I'm also just gonna point out that I think this is very funny. Not for use by women. See, there you go. I'm not a woman, clearly. I have been prescribed a medicine that is explicitly not for women, so sorry, transphobes. Within the box, obviously, there's one of these little things. You should always read any instructions that come with your medicine to make sure that you have an understanding. Sometimes during your visit, your doctor is like talking and you're like, whew, and just don't remember. Always double check and make sure that you're doing things correctly. This is the bottle that it comes in. It originally had a screw top, but I've used it a few times, so this is just the dropper top just on there now. I think what my doctor said about how to use this was to basically like use your hand to like move it around. I don't really like to touch it because it's very oily in consistency, and also because you have to be careful about where this goes on your body. Like, don't touch any part of your body with this that you don't want there to be hair on, because this is apparently strong stuff. So the reason that this is supposed to be efficacious, the reason it's supposed to work, is that you have growth cycles that your hair sort of goes through. I've talked about this on the channel before, but basically you start out with just those tiny, tiny, fine hairs that you have all over your body. Like, if you touch very gently, you can feel it all over your cheeks and stuff. That's what you just have all over your face before you start testosterone, right? Once you start testosterone, the stages that it goes in are, at first, you'll have the hairs will still be the same fine, thin hair, but it will start to get a little bit longer. From that point, it will start to get a little bit thicker and more coarse, a little bit more bristly, and then from there it will usually get darker if it's going to get darker. So basically, the reason that this is supposed to work is that your hair growth generally, but we're talking about your face, so your hair growth on your face is dependent on your duration of time exposed to testosterone. generally. So even though I quit testosterone for a couple of years, my face's like reaction and within the hair follicles themselves are more like a solid chunk of like 3 years, or what it's, yeah, at this point almost 3 years. I don't fucking know how long it's been, but essentially I am at a point with my facial hair growth where I do have some of those black whiskers, but I have more of these like smaller hairs that are more blondish, that are not quite as thick, which I think could really benefit from just a little bit of a kick in the right direction. Excuse me, editing Lux here. What I was trying and failing to say in this part is that once your hairs are doing the thing where they're slightly longer but still very thin, that's when minoxidil will work in basically making them get darker and thicker faster. And obviously I've only been using this for a few days now. There's not going to be any difference. I also just shaved yesterday because I let my whiskers get to like more than a centimeter long, and it was just getting a little bit scraggly and disgusting. We're gonna go ahead and use the minoxidil on camera. So it comes with this little dropper that has a 1 is it? Yeah, you can kind of see. It says 1 milliliter on the thing, so it's got a little bit of a measure. The instructions on the box and everything say to apply it directly to the skin. Basically what I do is I just kind of put it against my skin and let it like come out really slowly, because when I was reading the instructions it says to do it slowly so that it doesn't all run off of your skin. So it seems to me that this is kind of what it means. It just wants you to apply it. Oh no, come back. So I basically just am like slowly letting out a little bit of liquid and then using the applicator to kind of just put it on the skin that I want it to be on. And you're supposed to use the full milliliter twice per day. That is the instructions for how to use this material. So that's basically what I've been doing, is like once earlier in the day I'm doing this, and then once towards the evening. You're supposed to let it dry. So that's also part of why I don't like to rub it into my face, because it goes away so much faster, and it makes me feel like it's not sitting on the skin the way that it's supposed to. Because it says when you do it at nighttime that you need to make sure to do it 2 to 4 hours before you go to bed, so that it's totally dry by the time you go to sleep. So that is why I've been doing this direct application sort of thing, and just leaving it on my face for a few hours. I will say, one of the most immediate things that I noticed with this is that it dries your skin out like a lot. Like, immediately a lot. I have really dry, sensitive skin. Like, this red spot right here, I'm pretty sure that's psoriasis. It's basically always there to some degree, so yeah, I have sensitive skin, and this immediately made my shit very scaly. So be sure to be doing like a moisturizing like a few hours later. Once it's dried totally, you should go ahead and use lotion. I have some Cetaphil that I keep on my desk for after I get out of the shower, and I've been using that on my face after it's dried. So one other thing that I think is kind of really cool is that I get to choose where my facial hair is. You know, like, if I didn't want to have any definition in my chin here, I don't have to put this shit there. And I really don't want a mustache, so I just don't use it on that part of my face. This is just me putting it on my chin where I want to help out those hairs that I know for sure are there. I don't actually know that there's any hairs along this area, but you know, if there are any, I'm just gonna coax those little dudes out. And I do know for a fact that I have a little bit of like stuff going on in my sideburns. So this is how this goes. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. This is just how I have chosen to do it. Just a little bit of liquid at a time. And it's like drying a little bit periodically, and then I'm like reapplying it just for the sake of making sure to use the full milliliter. Yes. Okay, so now that's done. put the cap on, you know, don't let this get near any animals or anything like that, you know, it's medicine, keep it put away. So then you let this sit on your face until it's dry. Don't touch it. If you do touch it, if you are doing the thing where you're gonna rub it into your face or anything like that, immediately wash your hands. If you're sitting here and you idly forget and it's still wet and you touch it, go wash your hands. It is important. I don't know if this is actually going to do anything for me, but this is week 1 or whatever of starting this stuff, and you're supposed to see a difference in about 2 months, I think. Talking about its prescribed use, which is to help your hair on top of your head grow back, this is supposed to show you results in 2 months. So we'll see. There will be another update on this, regardless of whether it helps or does not. For the sake of the experiment, like, my facial hair growth has been pretty stagnant since I got back on tea. So I feel like this is going to be a very clear, like, my hair growth was on this very slow pace and I was seeing progress at this particular slow pace or whatever, and then I introduced this treatment, and it, like, if there is going to be a difference, I will be able to notice it because the pace that things have been going for me on my facial hair have been pretty low. I don't have a crazy high testosterone level, you know, I'm on a lower dose, so these things happen. But I'm really curious to see how it goes, and I'm really appreciative of all of you who are, you know, just joining me on this journey. Transition is fun. You can introduce all kinds of new elements into it, so yeah, fingers crossed. Also, two things really quick before I start closing out the video. I recently learned, while I was doing a Zoom call for one of my classes, that my bun moves when I put my eyebrows up. It's like having, it's like when you have like a you know, your ears, like on your anthro, like, and you just imagine like the ears doing things on their own to put emotions, you know, and it's like, what? And also, I've commissioned someone to draw my persona, and I'm so fucking excited. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, that's gonna be all from me today, though. If you like this video, go ahead and give me pretty analytics to look at and comments to read. Find me on Patreon, PayPal, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell if you want notifications, and I hope you have an okay day. Bye. All of my Patreon supporters are deeply appreciated in these trying times. I'd like to especially shout out Tina M., R. Halverson, Alex Maskell, Sarah A., Elis Stewart, Wellington Marcus, Amanda B., Athiette, Elizabeth Bartell, Eileen McCall, Mr. Atheist, and Rosa Bovett showing up. Mwah.